Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. Public Works Advisory Committee meeting is now in session. Can I have a roll call, please?
Kevin Watlett.
Excused.
Mary Lalo.
Present.
Bill Fath.
Present.
George Robin.
Present.
Scott Peterson.
Present.
Pam Hobbs.
Present.
Dave Nolan.
Excused.
Greg Lammert.
Present.
Chad Dagley.
Excused.
James Myers.
Present.
Wendy Prakop.
Present.
And would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have an agenda in front of us as printed. Could I have a motion for approval, please?
Motion to approve.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, we have approval of the minutes meeting, June 18th, 2025. I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments tonight? No one. Next in order is new business. First presentation, MoDOT projection presentation by Andy.
Thank you all, and mostly thanks Andy for coming out tonight. So he's MoDOT's area engineer. He's been in that position for
8.5 years?
8.5, a while now. So we work with his team on a lot of projects. Every time I start to drive out west, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So I thought it'd be really good to have Andy come in, and he's agreed to. So kind of give us an update on what all MoDOT has going on. They have a lot going on right now. So looking forward to hearing all about it. So
Okay,
with
thanks.
that, thanks, Andy.
Great intro. All right, okay. Can you hear me okay? All right.
Stay close to the mic.
Yeah. Can I
Thank
go?
you.
There we go. Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks, Wade. So I just put some slides together for the I-70 stuff, just kind of an update on probably the last time I was here, and then some projects from around O'Fallon that I think you might be interested in. So my first slide is kind of an update. One of the last times I've been doing this over the last couple of years was an older picture of the Wentzville curve from like the late 50s or something like that. So, and it showed, 2 lanes in each direction like it is now, and then like 2 or 3 cars out there. So this section here, this is a westbound 70, and you can see quite the difference of, this is from a fly-through rendering of I-70 out in, not O'Fallon, but I know you guys are probably interested, but just quite a change coming on this project. So I'll start out with the I-70 stuff, just kind of an update on the statewide where we're at. So there's a lot going on this slide, but ultimately, you see my cursor? Kind of. So a lot of folks have driven across I-70 over the last year or so. The section from Columbia to Kingdom City is underway, and our project, the best project, the number 2 project on the east end, that one was awarded in November and started design right away, and then they started construction this spring. And so we are the eastern part, and so we ultimately ended up adding, let me go to the next slide, and this one's probably got a little bit more meat on the bone, but so what you see in the light blue is basically everything that was from the state legislature, and what from Governor Parson had laid out was the I-70. The basic thing was getting 6 lanes on I-70 all the way across the state. So our portion of that is got several components here. So besides the portion in light blue that was the I-70, the St. Louis District, MoDOT St. Louis District had, I'm going to say about $200 million in projects in our 5-year program that we ended up basically blending it all together, because everything you see on this screen, ultimately, it all plays well together, right? So the section on I-64 doesn't really work without the bottleneck at Wentzville Curve. That was where we were originally going to start when we had very little money. That was where we were going to start. So the yellow one the Wentzville curve, we ended up having to pause that one for about a year because we were getting ready to put that one up for construction. But we really didn't want to have a small construction zone within another construction zone, multiple contractors, and you don't want to be redoing something if it doesn't work with the overall plan. So ultimately, the yellow one kind of got paused for a year to be blended into this project. And then, lo and behold, the I-70 project has about 11 or 12 miles of I-64. And so, again, for good reason, we already had that project. It was actually funded for 2026, so that one actually got accelerated. And then there was a new replacement. There was ultimately a bridge replacement out in Forestel, and you'll see a little rendering of what the design build contractor put forth there. So, and then as far as the I-6470 interchange, we had been studying that for really probably since 2021, and thankfully St. Charles County. So let me back up. So typically, we don't really allow ourselves to study something that we can't foresee getting funded in the next 5 to 6 years, because you spend a bunch of money on these studies, and then it only has a shelf life of, so long. So St. Charles County actually forward funded the study back when our funding was really on the skids, and it really worked out well because it ultimately gave us basically dusting off some conceptuals of what could be done at that interchange. And then lo and behold, a couple years later, and the legislature was ready to make a move. So this could be, we basically took what we had for a big interchange. And I'd say we were probably 2/3 of the way there. We were at about 89 million of a 130 something million. So basically we throw everything into one design build project, and everything you see on the screen represents the largest project in MoDOT history. So everything you see on the screen from Warrenton all the way down to Highway K and 64 is right at $600 million. So pretty historic investment, and, pretty big departure from where we were just a few years ago. So pretty exciting to be building fun stuff instead of just, asphalt overlays and that kind of thing. So any questions so far? You guys can stop me anytime. But so this was just kind of a real preliminary, nothing too crazy about I-70, but the really cool thing about it is it being completely rebuilt. So the pavement that's under there and out there, that's kind of in shambles. Some of it's from like the late 1940s, and there's water problems in there and all kinds of things. So they really have gone above and beyond with their design of their subgrade. So from a maintenance and our engineering standpoint, it's really a very robust and maintainable thing that will be more maintainable for our agency for a long, long time. So we really didn't, when you go into a design build, you don't exactly know what you're going to get. They could have put in there that they're going to just, overlay it or something like that. But they put everything that's out there would be replaced ultimately. So really a great proposal. And even that, all the new concrete that they pour out there is all going to be diamond ground. So it'd be nice and smooth and ultimately as quiet as possible. So yeah, ultimately you had three 12-foot lanes in each direction and a 6-foot shoulder, and then super wide outside shoulder. So. And just a real quick look, I know, again, we're getting far away from O'Fallon, but this is a pretty unique design for out in Forestel from what it is today, all jammed up with a bunch of trucks. What we've got here is very unique design. So it's a blend of roundabouts with diverging diamonds, so it's a diverge-about. So and it seems strange with trucks, but these are actually very, very large diameter circles. So they're designed large enough to actually have 2 trucks side by side go around in these circles. So ultimately, it should help quite a bit instead of just sitting there at the stoplight for 2 or 3 minutes just waiting. It's not very efficient out there now. So it was never designed for that level of trucks. And now with the meat packing plant coming, so it'll be a big change for folks. But I think ultimately it's going to be really efficient. It's really great design. We really got more than what we had asked for ultimately. So. This was a fly-through video, and I'm not able to connect to the internet. I can always send this to Wade, and you guys can check it out. But there's a pretty neat little fly-through video that the contractor provided. It just kind of an overview of the big interchange of 40, 60, 170, and kind of a view as you're flying towards Wentzville and Wright City, and kind of spins around and that kind of thing. But ultimately, the interchange itself doesn't look wildly different, but ultimately the lanes on there will be new lanes on the interior of the interchange. There's plenty of room to split lanes and make more room for people to weave and merge and that kind of thing. So, and then we're ultimately, one of the big things is fixing that merge out at Highway Z and Church Street. There is actually a grade separated bridge that it's in the video, but I didn't know I was not gonna be able to connect to the internet. So overall project schedule, again, this one's pretty busy, but it ultimately shows you everything that's going to be going on. So it's not everything going to be going on all at once, but there's some short duration things mixed in with some long duration things. But ultimately, the place where we started first is actually I-64 and I guess O'Fallon, really, and Weldon Spring. And so the project that we added last was I-64, and that's where we ended up working. And that's really because the design of it was really simple, straightforward. So that's how I-64 was set up from the get-go, was basically to pave the interior, pave the median. And so the design was very easy for them to design something, get that under construction while they're designing much more challenging things like the interchange. We just got a design package for the bridges here at the interchange. So they're actually going to be starting construction on a couple of the main bridges out there at the interchange here in a couple weeks. So we'll start seeing some more barrier wall. But again, still they're maintaining the main at least 2 lanes in each direction during peak times, which is a pretty big commitment, because we all know, we've seen that out that section. When you take 2 lanes down to 1, it's pretty heinous. So we like to only do that at night or on long weekends if we have something really bad going on there. So ultimately, they've started in a couple stretches, segment 2 out in Warren County and segment 14, which are big long stretches of I-70. So just kind of blow and go, doing paving, temporary paving, doing some drainage work, moving traffic around. So if I brought my segment for I-70, but back to the I-64, ultimately the median work zone there, it's, like I said, pretty straightforward. We do have some narrow lanes there, and this location actually right now, with basically what they've got, segment 11 here from Highway K to 364, they're looking to get that open by the end of the year. So not all the way to I-70 or anything like that, but at least there'll be some kind of breathing room that they can provide to drivers and show some progress out there. So, and then I-60, this is kind of light, probably challenging to see, but this is the loop ramp from southbound K to eastbound 64. So right now it's taken down from 2 lanes to 1 so that they can do this paving widening in the pink here and the red. So ultimately right now the lanes come down from that loop ramp and you're fed right into lane 3, and then we have to move them over a little bit because lane 3 will be live coming from behind, so we have to move them over just a little bit. So they anticipate that being done in a couple weeks. Oh, I guess my slides are out a little out of order. So in case you're interested, this is kind of a sequencing of the actual I-70, what we call maintenance of traffic, MOT. So if you can see, coming out of the page is eastbound 70. Sorry, I'm jumping around with you here, but basically doing some permanent widening over here to the side while you narrowed up the lanes. And then you jump the wall, move this over, build everything in orange, still westbound, still in the same location. And then ultimately the next phase would be move everybody over to this side, and you can completely have access to everything on the westbound side. And then there's a little gap that they have to fill in that final phase. So again, the completion dates are kind of all over the place. The overall completion date for the entire project is the end of 28. But like I said, the section is I-64 should be by the end of the year. The Forestell interchange is supposed to be done by the end of next year, so they're going to be starting on that soon. I imagine the most critical path items at the green at the curve and then the big interchange, those will probably take, I mean, here you go, yeah, end of 28 and yeah, or late part of 27. So a lot to do, but super exciting stuff. So, oops. Let's see. So further down 64, I kind of wanted to highlight a couple other projects. So we're about halfway through, almost halfway through on the rehab of the westbound Boone Bridge, Missouri River Bridge, I-64, Daniel Boone Bridge. So people are like, did you just work on that? Well, 10 years ago, we opened the new eastbound bridge, and we did do some rehab to that structure at the time, to the westbound, which was the old eastbound, right? So, but ultimately, you can't do too much ahead of time, but we tried to take advantage while we had traffic off of it back then, and we did redo the driving service, so that should really help out a lot. But ultimately, what's happening right now is a complete repainting of all the superstructure, the truss, and everything underneath. So there's just a ton of steel to repaint. So that's the majority of the project, is having to set up these huge containment areas that contains your blasting agents and stuff when you knock off the old paint or wash the old paint, and then keeps the paint fumes or the paint from wafting onto cars. So that they need a big, large section. So ultimately, we've got really just down to one lane on the westbound bridge. If you guys have been through there, we've got 2 lanes on the eastbound side against barrier wall going opposing ways. So they've got several crews in there. They seem to be doing fine. They're aiming to have the ultimate completion date is next spring, but they've got a milestone of getting traffic back in its configuration before snow flies. I don't know the exact date, but so we really don't like to winterize those types of operations. So, and then further up on 64, which you guys probably know about, and in fact, Chris attended we actually have a pre-construction meeting this morning about this one. This was the kind of a cost apportionment, cost share type project between MoDOT and the city of O'Fallon, where MoDOT's decided to, because of the city's project, ultimately rebuild our outer road technology bridge over Dardine Creek. So we actually had the pre-construction conference today. The contractor is looking at likely August 4th or maybe August 8th, shutting that down completely. So that thing, because there's about a 4 to 5 foot differential in vertical, it really can't be staged. So it ultimately needs to be completely closed so that they can get in there, knock it out, and build a new one. So they're hoping to have it open back before the end of the year. So we'll see what happens with the weather, but that's what they're shooting for, is to hopefully get in there, knock it out, and there will be some overlap with the city's other project. I think Chris said November, right, for the Crusher project, but Crusher, yeah, Weldon Spring Road project. So. But overall, really cool project connecting the Dardenne Greenway for the city up to the parks and all that stuff, and then hopefully eventually in the future going down through Bush Wildlife. But so we anticipate, and so once we get that date dialed in, we'll be putting more solid information out to the public. So it's just kind of hot off the press from this morning, so I don't have exactly when it'll go out, but it should be very soon. So. And I did just have kind of a route in placeholder. This isn't the greatest image, but just to kind of bring people up to date. So the route in section, really between I-64 and Highway Z, is really what MoDOT and St. Charles County are focusing on right now. So still unfunded projects, but what is funded and been forward funded by St. Charles County is ultimately the preliminary design. So if you remember, we did a corridor study on that, just to kind of get a view of what's the right corridor. Does it need to veer offline? Ultimately, this section will be back on its original alignment, but that doesn't mean it's just going to be widened a little bit here and there. It's a complete a complete rebuild of the highway. You know, this highway it's over 100 years old. There's some, and the alignments are, you know, it's just stuff that was gravel, then became a little oil, then became asphalt over the years. So this is bringing everything up to date with the curvature and all that stuff. So total rebuild, very expensive, very positive impact. So the first phase we're looking at, this is probably close to what you have in red here, is from I-64 to a little bit past Hopewell to Wello. That is currently also not funded, but with the ongoing preliminary engineering, by the end of the year, or maybe first part of the next year, we should have a more updated view of the scope and the estimate and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping by spring of next year, we'll be able to place something on our STIP, our improvement plan, our 5-year plan. So we could squeeze $4 or $5 million on it right now, but it really wouldn't do any good. We need a significant chunk of $40 to $50 million to really make something here work. So we're working towards it, trying to get show where the edge of the road. People want to know how close they can be, right? So they want to know. So they want, where's the edge of the road? Where's the right of way going to be? Is there going to be sidewalls? Is there going to be, a turn lane here, or will I be restricted my left turn out here and here? So those are all the kinds of details we're trying to work out. We did have a really good informational open house in February. So I imagine by hopefully February, March, we'll be back out to the public, show them an updated view, and hopefully get something funded in the next, before 2030. I don't have a date yet, but I want to try and get something, turn in some dirt before 2030. So it's a lot to do, and there's more homes coming all the time. So we're doing our best to catch up. So what questions do you have? Yeah.
Are there any plans in the future to tie 364 into Interstate 70 at some point on the west side?
No, and I've heard that question before. So you mean like where route in? You mean like?
Well, 364 right now ends by the end. Is that going to remain the same or upgraded or?
Yeah, here at 64, basically it kind of ends at 64. It's kind of off the screen. It's a little
right.
challenging. So yeah, so I've been asked if Page is going to extend west, and no, that was never the plan. So this is not a freeway. This is really just, in fact, there's several sections that are 45, 50 miles an hour. We're looking at probably a 40 mile an hour speed limit, much more suburban corridor. It's not going to be a bypass or anything like that. So and ultimately the section in black that was identified by the corridor study. So again, sorry for the image quality, but you see Route N is up, old Route N is up here, and it really doesn't make any fiscal sense or engineering sense to try to improve that. The topography is really not conducive to it. So ultimately it sets up, if the county wants to, they're going to be working on trying to improve that black section of Buckner Road. And ultimately they do have plans to make a more improved roadway. And this actually, it goes up to David Hochul Parkway. So, and then ultimately from there, the city of Wentzville and St. Charles County are working on David Hochul Parkway up to the north and around to 61. So kind of creating a quasi outer belt, not high speed, but improved, better than 2 lanes with no shoulders, right? Okay. So
the layout right now of 64, 61, and 70.
Yeah.
The way it's laid out now, how much of a change is that going to be? And are there going to be any roundabouts in that project like there is at Forestell?
As far as that interchange, so that big interchange of 40, 61, 70, that's a high-speed system-to-system interchange. That won't have any roundabouts in it like that. So it'll be. I wish I had access to. I could do my video and zoom in and pause on my YouTube video, but and I can send you guys the links. But
maybe I should have said any off artilleries, off of those, any roundabouts.
I mean the only one I can think of right now, besides the Forestell interchange actually has the 2 roundabouts. I know that with the Mercy development, there's a roundabout. I believe the signal at Pittman here is being replaced, but it's not part of MoDOT's project. But there will be one more, I'll say a newer roundabout at Z and Church Street there. But that one's really quite an upgrade because it actually, the main movement for like in the evenings is westbound 70 to southbound Z. That actually gets its own ramp to go south, and there will be a roundabout kind of closer to Wagner, where like DQ is and the church there. So just to kind of bring those roads together, and it'll be much more efficient than trying to squeeze a signal in there. So trying to think of whatever. I don't know of any other roundabouts
Okay.
offhand, but I could be missing. If I think of something and like, oh no, but there are several coming to interchanges in Warren County. There's several in Wright City, and so that'll probably be a.
The other question, can you explain exactly how the new railroad overpass is going to be done?
Yeah.
In depth, please?
I'm so sorry. I wish I had. Let me see if I have. Do I have anything? I don't really. Man, I did have some great slides. Okay, so in depth, yeah. So right now you've got. I can't get on the internet. Right now you've got the railroad. You got the railroad bridge.
Right.
So what we did is, I remember when I said we had a project already in that yellow section. So we had a project ready to go. We had already been working with Norfolk Southern for several years. So we basically got buy-off on a design to ultimately construct a temporary bypass. They call it a shoe fly bridge. So it's going to be a very bare bones structure on, say it's closer to the east, on the sugar fire side, for the lack of a better term. So there'll basically be a very bare bones structure because you're only allowed to take down their track for a couple hours or something like that. So we'll build them a temporary structure off to the side, and then move their. And then they actually do their own track work. So their own contractor will come in and do their track, move it over to the new temporary bridge.
Okay.
The contractor will demolish out the old bridge, and then it's kind of a game of leapfrog from there. So the whole alignment of I-70 is sliding to the south and to the west. So they'll be able to tear up through there, construct a lot of the new eastbound lanes as much as they can. So enough to get 2 lanes open ultimately. So they'll do enough on the south and west side. They'll move traffic down and then tear up some of the old eastbound, build some more stuff in the median, and keep westbound where it's at, and then eventually move westbound down, and then we'll tear up the old westbound. So it's just kind of a gradual kind of leapfrog thing. So this, go back to I didn't even think about this one. So ultimately, this thing is going to be so much different than what's already there. There still will be a curve, so you still have to connect point A to point B, but right now there's a vertical clearance issue, there's a horizontal clearance issue, but so where was I going with this? But ultimately, this westbound section is going to go from 2 lanes in that direction to 5. So it's actually going to take 2 lanes all the way to Wentzville Parkway, and then again the 3rd lane will go out past there. So, and this merging section, this kind of weaving section that gets all jammed up right now. There's a lot of people on top of each other trying to jockey for position in about 750, 800 feet. And so we're actually taking away some of that merge, and whatever merging is happening over like 5,500 feet. So it's pretty substantial. So anyway, back to sorry, I don't know if I answered your railroad question. So ultimately, slide them off to the side temporarily, construct the new bridge, and the new bridge is like over twice as long as the current bridge. So that bridge is, we just have to bite the bullet. We're building them a new bridge, and this is a 150 to 200 year decision. I don't want a future agency to have to go back to them really for a long time. So hopefully we'll have, flying cars by then.
Okay, one other question.
But there'll be enough room under that new bridge for 12 lanes. So we should be able to handle that.
The other
12 lanes, right? For a long time.
The Wentzville Parkway,
Yeah.
if you're going southbound and want to get on 70 eastbound, is that crazy loop going to stay like that?
Yeah, so the city congestion mitigation project that they did a couple years ago. They did it in coordination with MoDOT and us trying to plan this project. So where those folks come on, they'll be blending right into their own lane. So in addition to the 3 lanes in Wentzville, there's actually going to be at least one auxiliary lane between Wentzville Parkway and Highway Z, if that makes sense. So this short distance to try to jockey for position and be on top of each other, you'll have all the way to Highway Z if you're going eastbound, and then you'll have all the way to Wentzville Parkway from there. Again, even westbound actually has ultimately two auxiliary lanes. So, but yes, to answer your question, the way the roundabout comes through, it feeds directly into this footprint. So,
Any other questions for Andy? Pam?
On the technology drive, you said you were going to have to shut that down.
Yeah.
You built that new bridge, which we're excited to see the new bridge. But is traffic going to be coordinated with the work that they're doing on 64 at the same time? Because a lot of traffic will be pulled off of technology and onto 64 through there.
well, yeah. So there's ultimately not a ton of traffic on technology that I-64 couldn't handle, but they'll have detours at basically 64 and K and 64 at Winghaven. And the folks that already live there, I mean, we all know they know they're going to find their way around through the other detours. And again, I know it probably complicates it a little bit with, or they're actually kind of already doing it with the city's other projects. So, but as far as 64 work, we haven't seen a lot of 64 folks using the outer road or anything like, unless there's probably, an event or something, a crash, knock on. Or maybe, okay, you have. Sorry, you live out there, maybe. I forget, so. But yeah, ultimately, it has to be shut down. In other ways, it might take, twice as long to try and hammer this thing out and try to stage it, and it just wasn't going to work, so.
No, I understand that, and I appreciate you trying to coordinate it as much as possible, which I'm sure
Yeah, and we definitely are. The city and MoDOT have been kind of in lockstep on the whole design and process. So yeah, glad the day is finally here, and we'll try to get through it, as quick as possible. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Scott?
Yes. Hi, Andy. Nice to meet you, and thank you for this really good information. I do have a couple things. So the painting of the Boone Bridge, can you just explain? Does that? I guess that paint does other things than just cosmetic, right? It reserves.
That's a great question. So the main point of the paint when you see a structure is really to protect it from corrosion, to keep it from rusting and cracking and that kind of stuff. So. Because there's a lot of joints moving around and stuff like that, so you don't want to have, and it's challenging to get to. They inspect those every 2 years, and you have to get within arm's reach. But so there's just a ton of steel out there. So to keep it all in good working order, about every 30 years, it needs a brand new paint job, and it's expensive. It's not a fun way to spend $30 million. But I will say there's on the flip side, I was an engineer on the eastbound construction, and that contractor brought to the table, that's a totally different structure. It doesn't have an overhead truss or anything like that. It has steel plate girders, pretty boring, but super exciting from a maintenance standpoint, because the girders themselves are what we call weathering steel. So they rust once, and then they stop rusting, and the rust itself protects it from more rust. So we don't, over 100 years, we don't ever have to paint that. We don't have to switch traffic. We'll probably be switching traffic in another 40 years for this bridge again, whereas we probably won't have to for the eastbound structure. So those are the kinds of things I nerd out about. So does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great. And then, you mentioned about, that was kind of part of my other question is, you mentioned about longevity and like the railroad bridge. Hopefully we won't have to do anything for 150 years.
Right, yeah.
Is there a couple other things like new technology that's being implemented throughout the entire project that you just laid out that you could mention that will, allow limited mitigation in the future that
Yeah.
wasn't in place before, that those type of things, maybe just,
Yeah, so like I said, for the bridge designs, like I said, they've really gone a long way with girder design in the last probably 30 years, so they can go longer spans and that kind of thing. So overall, it's probably boring, but it's a lot easier to build more simple structures that are easier to maintain instead of a bunch of some kinds they have weird pins and hangers that we have to maintain. Some bridges from the 60s have very unique designs that are challenging to maintain today. So from what I know, like at the 4060 170 interchange, almost all the bridges except for 2 are being replaced. 2 of them are being rehabbed. So I don't know if I have anything overwhelming on the bridge side, but on the pavement side, again, I kind of nerded out when I was looking at the proposal was, so the pavement itself, is 11 and a half or 12 inches deep. But one really cool thing about this one is this chemically treated subgrade. So our pavement engineer really turned us on to what actually this means is we've just got some soupy crap. We've got some junk, some subgrade under that. Sometimes we'll do pavement repairs out there. We'll pull up the concrete and water will literally be trickling into the subgrade, below the pavement. So what they're actually going to do is this 9-inch chemically treated subgrade. It's ultimately they're going to go in and till in like cementitious material, and they've committed to a very hard, dense bearing ratio. Again, I'm getting into like engineering stuff, but it's way more than we'd mandate for dirt has to be a certain density. This is like way beyond that. So it really does set it up it ultimately sets up almost like a pavement underneath the base rock. It gives a really great table to place this thing on. So it is really kind of exciting. And then this rock base daylights out. It's challenging out there on those long stretches of I-70. The profile is very flat. There's not a lot of drain. The ditches are very flat. So this rock underneath there daylighting out will help mitigate. That's always our number one enemy is, besides heavy trucks, is water underneath your pavement, water where you don't want it. So I'm sure there's probably other innovative things with that proposal, but I just don't off the top of my head. So.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
K&N, how long will that take?
You know? Or Wade, do you know? I would think. I'm guessing the completion date's in 26, but they're cooking pretty good. It's so that I'm looking at Chris because.
Yeah, so there's signal items that are involved in that project, and those have longer lead times, so it's going to extend into 26. I do not know the month that it's supposed to be finished, but they're making good progress with like the concrete side of it and all that stuff right now. And hopefully they can minimize, the impacts to the lane closures and things like that. But we are working hand in hand. I don't know the date of official completion at this time. I should, but I don't.
Any other questions? I do have one other one, Andy.
Yeah.
This is Bryan Road in West Terra.
Okay.
The overpass pavement was replaced, but the approaches weren't touched. And to me, they're worse than what the pavement was on the bridge.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, on the north side of Bryan Road,
Okay.
the pavement is full of tar, blacktop, caked up. Is there a procedure to strip that? There's other locations in the city of O'Fallon that are like that.
Yeah.
It's really an eyesore. I was
Is
wondering
it
if
from
there's a procedure.
from some other project tracking their oil or something? Yeah.
That's been down there for ages, and
Yeah.
it just gets worse and worse.
I don't exactly. Is it at the ramps themselves, or you're saying just the pavement of Bryan
Pavement
Road?
from when you drop off the bridge
Yeah.
to the stoplight.
Okay.
That's
I'll take a
coated with blacktop, tar.
Right.
I mean, it's terrible looking.
just the aesthetics of it, or yeah.
Can you check that out? And
Yeah, I could check
let
it.
us know.
That's just extra protection for the paint. No.
That's not the only location.
No,
There
I'm
are
sure.
several
Yeah,
other
and
locations.
we get that sometimes. There'll be some kind of paving project nearby. You definitely see them at like the top of the off ramp. Like, oh, they picked up. We don't know where the project is, so sometimes it's hard to pin down because there's projects all over the place that are picking up, tracking the oil and the tack coat from the asphalt, and then all of a sudden you start seeing it all over this place, and you're like, where did this even come from? So.
Well, I'm sure a lot of it's because of the industry back off of West Terra back.
That could be, yeah, that could be. Is there an asphalt plant back there? Maybe so. Maybe I'll knock on their door. Help us out.
Scott? Yeah, go ahead.
No one else. I do have one more.
Okay.
Are you aware of any pedestrian bridges on Highway K in the future? And if not, why? I've seen, on Highway, I guess it's 364, where the Harvester, the Greenway, I mean, they were able to do that. That's a pretty big, that's even larger bridge for pedestrians, walkway, biking. But it seems, it would really, me, be great to have something on Highway K.
You mean
Pedestrians.
Crossing of Highway K?
Just, a bridge, any, like
Yeah.
Sports Park, and if you're gonna go, you've got the new, Greenway going into Cottleville. I'm just curious why we don't have any pedestrian bridge it seems like at any point on Highway K.
It's probably just the nature of the way that the city built up, and like I said, I have been asked about a bridge over K, like near the library, and I'm like, well, that'd be great. It'd be very expensive, and I don't know where you land the bridges. You'd ultimately probably have to take out a business or a home or something like that, So there is good news about it's like Sportsman's Park. The city is working on and working with us on coordinating getting under Highway K there, that crossing there, and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's crossings at the signals, but yeah, I don't know of any major pedestrian traffic generator. I mean, like I said, I'm not opposed to it, but it'll be a very expensive project, and it might take out some home or business. Yeah, so I mean, that has pedestrian access now, but you're right. It doesn't have a bridge. So yeah, that'd be cool. It really would be great. But yeah, you're looking at several $1 million, and it's just tough to compete with all the other needs. So
Oliver, do you have a question for Andy?
Yeah, it's not really a question, but thanks for being here first.
Yeah.
I did look up that flyover video that you were showing or trying to show.
Yeah.
It's really
access.
cool looking.
Yeah.
So if you maybe email that to Julie or
Yeah.
to all our guys up here, it's full of pretty much every question that was asked. If you watch the video, it is laid out in that video.
I thought it was going to have access. I could have pulled it up on YouTube, but
so
I'll send it to Julie.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
Super cool video. So thank you.
Yeah, I want somebody to see it. So
Any other questions for Andy? Thanks, Andy.
yeah, you're welcome.
Next up is 2025 funding application update. Chris? Good evening.
Good evening. Just give me a minute here to get mine pulled up here real quick. All right. Appreciate you having me. Like the screen says here, my name's Chris Clerks, Capital Improvements Manager for the City of O'Fallon, if you don't know who I am. Just want to give you a quick update on our 2025 project grant funding applications that we had submitted, and potential recommendations and amounts that would be. I'm just going to follow up on the question from the last presentation. It's for Highway K&N. The completion date's 270 days. That's how many days they have in it. It just started here in the end of June, early July, so we're around February and March when it's going to finish. So I want to just catch that up real quick. But if I use the right thing here, these are the 6 projects that are going to be discussed today. We've talked to you guys quite a few times about a lot of these, so you're probably familiar with many of them. The couple you might not be the one you might not be too familiar with would be the Bryan Road pavement and pedestrian improvements, and then also the Bryan Road and VMP intersection project. And we'll get into some details for those two. This is just an overall map of where these projects would lie. Pretty much hits every area of the city. We try to, do that as best we can with the funds that we have and the funds that we can request and get, but we're touching a lot of the different areas of the city here. So just the first one is Deer Road Reconstruction Phase 1. It's already in design. We already have funds from county on this one for design, right-of-way, and utility relocation. We've requested construction funds this year, but you can see the limits that go just a little bit to the west of Highway DD at that Lynette Lane there on the right side of the page, and then it extends over to the Long Gate Court and Gatehouse Circle is where that Phase 1 limit will be. There's the information right there. Should have just flipped over. It's reconstruction of the existing roadway in full. We're looking at either concrete and or asphalt pavement sections. There will be a roundabout at the Paul Renaud Boulevard intersection. Those have been put in there for traffic calming safety measures. It's basically going to be 2 full 11-foot lanes, curb and gutter. Storm system will be put in there. It will have a 10-foot shared use path along the north side of Deer Road. And we have future connectivity to where we will do Phase 2 shortly after this, and I'll get to that in a minute. But this would connect into the Phase 2 portion of it and future improvements at DD and all the existing subdivisions. One thing we want to point out is there's a rectangular rapid flashing beacon for pedestrian crossings from one side of the road to the other in one area strategically placed because we aren't putting sidewalk along the whole south side of that road. We are focusing on the 10-foot shared use path on the north side, so we got to make sure people can get across safely. It actually acts as a traffic calming measure too, to keep people slower down there in that area, because that's one of the biggest concerns we got on Deer Road as a whole was people drive too fast, it's too windy, accidents, things like that. So this is what the typical section of that looks like. This is what was shown in, we've had 2 public meetings already on this back a couple years ago. And like I said, we're just trying to get through design right now and get into our utility relocations because there's quite a few utilities and some relatively significant impacts to that. But we're getting towards construction, hopefully starting next year is where we're at right now. And county funding. Like I said, we've already gotten design, right-of-way, and utility relocations. We've already received up to $865,600 through the county. We did submit for federal funds on construction this year, but we were not recommended. We will try again next year. But county road board right now is looking that they will be recommending for us to get 5.171 from them to help support the project, because you can see the estimated cost is pretty significant, about 6.5 roughly for that first phase. These phases are very similar, so Phase 1, Phase 2 estimates are very similar, so costs will be very similar to what we need to come up with. As I said, we look like construction here late 26. This is just a funding breakdown that you can see. It's a little snapshot that you can see how much the county's putting towards it and how much we are. And hopefully we can plug a number for federal next year, assuming if we submit again that we would hopefully get some funds. Phase 2, the limits will go from on the right side of the page, right there where it stopped at Gatehouse and Longgate, and then it'll extend over to Hopewell. It will tie directly into the Hopewell project that county is working on. They actually, let me go backwards here. At the intersection of Hopewell, they're going to be putting a roundabout, and then that would extend for the Deer Road extension into the Harvest subdivision to the left there. You can see that layout where the streets are already connected. So that's a county project for the Hopewell intersection, but our project would involve that Phase 2 section of Deer Road. It will also include probably a roundabout at Turian Lane, which is, oops, wrong way again. Right about in the middle there. You can see right below it where it says Deer Road, that's Turian Lane. That's about where that roundabout would go for the second phase. Again, for traffic calming and safety measures. A shared use path would be along the north side of the road all the way out to Hopewell Road. It would tie into pedestrian infrastructure that county's looking at to do along Hopewell Road to get up to Highway N, and it extends through Harvest where we already have 10-foot shared use path pedestrian facilities there too. Again, 11-foot lanes, curb and gutter, storm, all that kind of stuff, and a potential for the rapid flashing beacon depending on how our design comes in. We don't have that laid out yet. But this is a high-level conceptual of what we were thinking it would look like when we did do our public meetings to get input on the first, from the public on the first meeting, and then we refined. The second meeting was more of like Deer Road Phase 1 to give them more refined plans. That was what the second one was for. We will have another public meeting for Phase 2 once we get to that point. We have, this year we've just requested design only for Phase 2, and the total cost of design is anticipated around $500,000, which means we get about $400,000 from county. So anticipated timeline for construction will be out into 28, but we want to get design started on Phase 2 now. So once we get into construction with Phase 1, we can get through construction with Phase 1. Hopefully Hopewell's already done by the time we do that. And then Phase 2 can start right after that. So Deer Road will be under construction for quite a few years in a row, but we hope once we get started, we can just carry it through and get the project done as soon as we possibly can to limit the amount of time that it's going to impact the residents out there. And here's a snapshot of that. This is the Bryan Road pavement and pedestrian improvements that you may or may not know about. I think we've talked about it a little bit. It goes from White Magnolia Drive there on Bryan Road south to Norwood Hills Drive. It's selective slab removal because we have parts of Bryan Road that are continuing to just deteriorate to a point of failure and need to be replaced. It's not a full reconstruction of Bryan Road by any stretch of the imagination, but it will be the selective slab removals and replacements, and then we will reconstruct. There's an existing 6-foot sidewalk / path, whatever you want to call it, out there now. It's in some deteriorated, it's pretty deteriorated, so we're going to upgrade that to a 10-foot shared use path in that section too, which would tie into future, or would tie into some improvements that are further south than that pretty well. The estimated project cost, we did submit for federal on this, and we were recommended. We're just waiting on official award of that, so we'll get about 1.2 from federal. County looks like they're going to give us about $235,000 roughly, and then we would support the rest. So we were really excited to get that one from federal and county this year. And you can see construction of this will probably be out in 29, just because of how all the dates are working there. So when the funding's available. And here's a snapshot, so you can see the breakdown there, and it's really nice for us to look at those and see the smaller numbers for us. That's what our budgets are really happy to see. So, so this is the Mexico Road resurfacing, and that would extend from Bellow Creek / Knaust and go west to Barrington, roughly Barrington's intersection, to go into that subdivision, and that includes just resurfacing Mexico Road. We have done that, but it was about 12 years ago we resurfaced this portion of Mexico Road, and it's starting to show some cracking and some failure. So we're trying to get ahead of it again, make sure it doesn't get to a point of complete disrepair and we'd be behind the 8 ball. So we're trying to get ahead of that and kind of getting into a strategy of making sure that these arterial roads are a little bit more preserved and maintained, a little bit more underneath that strategy, a little bit more consistently, I should say, and make sure that we don't get into a failure of some kind that becomes really expensive. We will be installing a shared use path along the south side of Mexico Road, and that will actually tie in with a new development that's coming in along there, so it's a really good time for us to be doing that, and it ties into the stuff we've already done as other phases of Mexico Road. So we applied for federal funds, and we did actually receive it. Recommended for it, I should say. So we're about 1.6 from federal, and then we'd be asking from county about 520,000. Again, this construction's out in 29, but we hope to get going on the design here pretty soon, and then right away would come after that construction out in 29 as of right now. And the snapshot of that is about double what it was from Bryan, but it's still a pretty low number when you look at the grand scheme of things there. With a $2.2 million project, we got 130,000 in it, so pretty happy with that too. Highway N shared use path, I believe we've talked about that one. It's putting a shared use path north side of Highway N from Spring Orchard Drive to Meadow Lake Drive. That essentially ties into what Cottleville has got out to their limits in that area along Highway N, east of Highway K. So it's a good connection for both cities. Once we get that done, could be potentially tied into a future greenway somewhere down the line, but there's still some time before that's going to happen. We did submit for federal on this. We were not recommended for that, so we are looking at trying to do design only to get it going through the county. Looks like they're willing to recommend about $160,000 to us to help us pay for the design. And then we would go in the future with trying to get federal and county money for right-of-way construction and all that. So it's a good start to get this thing kicked off, and it's a path section that we've been trying to get for many years. So this is really good for us to hear that there's support for that and to keep that momentum going as best we can. I did not have a funding breakdown for that one, but it's 50,000. Wait a minute here. I'm going the wrong direction. Hold on. My bad. Like I said, about 160,000, 200,000 total, but 160,000 would come from county. The other one, I don't think we've really gotten too far into with discussions with you guys, is the Bryan Road and VMP Improvements Project. We all know that Bryan Road and VMP intersection's very busy and kind of a pain to get through sometimes. So we are looking at trying to improve that. We do have a development on the west side of K, right there, just south of VMP, that is looking to come in, that will generate some traffic. That kind of spurred us on, and the fact that we've been trying to get to this intersection for many years, and this is a good start for us to do that. With MoDOT having just rehabbed their bridge, it's a good time for us to start working on the section that we own. So it's focused on the intersection, but that might spill to all four legs a little bit, just for pavement preservation or replacements or whatever we'd need to do. So we'll be looking at kind of that whole area to make sure that whatever we build is something we can build and not have to come back to for a very long time. I'd like to say what Andy did was like 150 years would be great. We don't have to touch it again. I don't know if we're going to get there, but we're going to try. So, but no, what we want to build is actually, I'm not sure what happened on that little blurb there, but we're just trying to make sure that what we do is something that can handle the traffic now and in the future, and we have it improved the way it needs to be. We would be looking at just doing kind of a conceptual design at this point, so we can get going with working on our federal applications, and then that would trickle down to our county applications to keep funding the right-of-way needs and the construction needs for this project, because it's going to get pretty expensive, I think, with having to change that intersection pretty significantly, we believe. So right now we're only getting about 40,000. The total request for this conceptual level is only 50,000. So county's looking like they're willing to recommend about 40 grand of that. So this snapshot is what I really wanted to get to here. As you can see, out of about almost $11 million of project worth, with the county, federal, and all that kicking in, we're at about 1.6 for our budgets that would have to support it. So hopefully these numbers all hold true. And like I said, everything has been recommended as far as, county or federal. We have to get final approvals. We have to get agreements. We've got some process still to go through, but it's looking very promising to date. So just want to get this in front of you guys, let you know where we're at for this year. I feel like it's a very successful year. Last year was like bonkers for what we got, which was great. So, but we're very happy with what we're looking at right now. Questions? Did I go too fast?
Wasn't that Bryan Road West Terra project, wasn't that approved? It was supposed to start spring of 26? Or am I thinking?
Are you talking about the reconstruction north of 70?
Right.
So that is, it's got funding it's currently under design. Right. And then we're going to be going into right-of-way, I think, in 26. Okay. And I think construction is planned for 28 for that one. And that would be north of 70. Right. And there'd be that big roundabout configuration that we were looking at. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Chris? Wendy?
Chris, I was just curious with materials that are being used to lay like the roads and the sidewalks. It's going to be an improvement. And of course, I'm sure the formulas are better than what they were a few years ago, correct?
As far as the concrete that would be going down? So the city is the leader in this area for the Eastern Missouri Pavement Consortium, and we monitor the materials that go into the concrete very stringently. And so I feel that, yes, the concrete will produce a better product once it's put down with the materials that we're using.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, Chris, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
You? Go ahead, Anthony.
Chris, I actually have two quick questions for you.
Do you want me to pull the presentation back up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Mexico Road, is that going to be a full mill or is it like overlay or what's that going to look like? And then also on that project, on your slide, it said sidewalk north of Mexico. Will that be going from Barrington to Ridgetop, or do you know what that looks like?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I did forget to say something about that. So, first question is, it's usually we do a 2-inch or maybe 1.75-inch mill, and then we'll put 2-inch or 1.75-inch back for the filling, or for the overlay. And then, you are correct. Let me see if it shows. I don't know. I think it's just a red line on this, but I did forget to mention that, so I'm glad you brought that up. Where did it go? Yes, so we do intend to put the 10-foot shared use path on the south and adding the sidewalk on the north side. That's just a standard width, 5, maybe 6 foot, but it does fill a gap that we have right now, which is a really exciting part of that project too. And it really actually helped the project score very well. So.
Yes, that's Barrington is my neighborhood, so
Yep.
I've always dreamed of a sidewalk on that side of the road, just so I don't have to cross Mexico for the sidewalk.
Yep.
So cool.
It's
Thank you.
actually probably on our sidewalk request list, most likely, so we can hopefully start checking some boxes on that one, so.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
Anyone else? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Next, we have Public Works Facility Update. Catherine?
And I want to introduce Kathy Polite here. So Kathy is our project manager that does some of our water and sewer projects. She's been with us for a little more than a year. She has many projects, but this is one of hers, and this is her first opportunity to come out and make a presentation to you guys. So welcome, Kathy.
Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you very much. And my counterpart is Greg Cordone, and he can introduce his title. I'm not sure.
I'm Greg Kudrin. I work for Avis and Young, and the city engaged our services to help them manage the project for the new public works facility because of the size and the nature of the project, just to help shore up Steve's group over there a little bit. So we're just assisting with that.
Okay, let me get
Kathy's going to kind of start with a bit, and I'm going to talk to some photos toward the end here.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, like Steve said, I've been here about a year, and previously worked at MSD for 14 years and waste management for 13 years. So I've had quite a fun career, but also a long career to learn things. So just starting with the first thing is, I'm sure you're all on the edge of your seats, the updates for the facility. So the site work and did you want to do?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The site work that's been, we're working on was the dirt work, and it concluded in October of 2024. And then we put out bids, and ICS Construction Services was awarded to be the new contractor in January 25. And they started construction in February. We had some rain, so it didn't go all of February. And most importantly, we're scheduled to finish it in 2026. So the estimate to complete the new public works facility is still $30,164,000. So we're moving forward. 81 employees will report to Public Works Building, and 9 employees will report to the Fleet Building. So I'm going to ask Greg to come up, and he can help with these new photos of the new Public Works facility.
Let's see if I can get my red dot here going. Oh.
You got it.
There we go. So what you're looking at here, this is the new Public Works facility. This is just to give you an idea of kind of what's happening out there right now. So this is just one of the main bearing masonry walls on the south end of the new Public Works building, and they've been working on that for about, they started the mason about a month ago. Prior to that, the footings and foundations were all done, and we get the masonry up, and then they should be setting structural steel on this building about the end of July, actually the end of this month, and we should start pouring floor slabs here in about a week on this building here. So this is, I'm going to shift over to, oops, what happened here? There we go. Guess I got to get off a little bit. So this is just toward the east end of that building, and you can kind of see, there may be another picture. If we go to the next picture, this is the mason scaffold. You see here, they're going up with the walls. If we go to the next one, which way do we go?
Here, I just go like this.
Okay, there we go. Oh, this obviously just the batch towers for the mortar for the mason. That's what that's showing there. And on the next picture here, this is kind of in the heart of the new Public Works building. You can see in conjunction with all of the masonry that's going up, also we have the plumbing underground for under the slab, and these are the risers for that. And also, I don't know if we can quite see it in this picture as well, but the electrician is also working in lockstep with the mason to get all his conduits in the walls and the outlets, et cetera. So it's kind of basically plumbers, electricians, and masons all working together to kind of bring it all up. Let's see if we go, oh, there you go. That's sort of the same picture. You can really see there's some of the electrical conduits ready to go in. Here's some electrical conduits stubbing up in the wall. You can see a better shot of all the plumbing. So a lot of stuff going on right now, all trying to get ready to get the structural steel. Obviously, our goal is to get as much up before the winter hits and get as much up and enclosed as we can before we get into that kind of weather season. Let's see, the next one. Oh, right here. Yeah, this is just looking toward the northwest part of the site. Right here is kind of the northwest corner. This will be kind of where the Public Works, the fleet building will start to be, and then we'll have canopies just down from this fence where they'll be hanging a lot of parking their trucks and hanging their snow plows, et cetera. These are just, these were just some risers coming up from the underground plumbing that's been in for the under drains, actually.
Okay.
Oh, and I should
This
say.
is just my morning picture of the sunrise.
Oh, that's a good sunrise. And I should say because there's two buildings and they're kind of going in tandem. The Public Works was started first. It's a little bit bigger building, and the goal is to get that going. We be starting next week pouring the foundations, the footings for the fleet building. And time-wise, and what happens in the fleet building, what you just saw at the Public Works, that'll kind of move over, and the same scenario of underground plumbing, electrical, et cetera, in support of the masonry, that'll go up on that. Key again there, structural steel should be hitting on the Public Works building about the end of this month. About the end of August, the structural steel, main structure, should get started on that one. And then we're just, again, trying to push as much as Mother Nature will let us right now.
Okay. Questions?
Questions? Go ahead.
Is the building being built to withstand catastrophic weather?
There is one segment. It's basically most of it's typical masonry, structural steel. There is one segment in the Public Works building that's built not as 100% storm shelter, but as a protection zone for the people. It's all beefed up, structures around that and on top of it. Okay.
And I could add a little bit to that. So they're also going to have generators on each building.
Oh, yeah.
So that we can operate during a power failure. It's going to have redundant internet services and things like that. So, yeah, if there's a natural disaster in the city, we want to be able to operate from that building to serve the residents and take care of whatever's going on. So
That's right.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Next, we have acceptance of monthly reports, engineering and Public Works for April and May of '25. Do I have a motion to accept?
Move to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, discussion of agenda meetings for future meetings. One thing I'd like to add is an update on the facilities, say in September. Give us an update. Okay. Does anyone have something to add? Go ahead.
I don't know if this can ever be done, but at one point to be able to visit the MRF facility in St. Peter's. Material recovers facility where they sort, but see that happens basically through the day. But for all of us to be able to go and view that, it would be a great thing to do.
That's a good idea.
And do you want to see it in operation during the day or, okay, good, all right. Yeah,
That's the best time to do it, is for everyone to be able to see that.
okay. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Wendy. Next is closing comments. Start down at the end. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank our speakers and our friend from ODOT's gone already, but thank him in absentia here. And yep, thanks for keeping the good progress going on the new facility.
George?
Yeah, Kathy, welcome. Great to meet you, and Greg, right? Okay. Wonderful presentations. Chris, thank you. And Andy, he's already left, but exciting to see what's going on within the city of O'Fallon. Thank you.
Mary?
Just ditto.
Greg?
Yep, thank you everyone for the presentations. Welcome, Kathy.
Wendy?
Thank you, Chris and Kathy and Greg and Andy from MoDOT. Everyone gave a great presentation, and thank you, Chris.
Pam?
Yep, ditto on the thanks. Always great presentations. And Chris, I really appreciate how much you guys work to get the funds from outside sources so that we can spread the city's money and projects further.
Scott?
On the same comments as everyone else, thanks for all the presentations. It's been great. Welcome, Kathy. Good information, great information.
Thank you, Andy, Chris, Kathy, and Craig. They were great presentations. And again, welcome aboard. Thanks for everything you do. And Mr. Wexler, do you have any comments?
Sure. Welcome, Kathy. I will ditto everybody else. And I also just wanted to give a shout out to our Public Works employees. I've noticed some water main failures lately, and I know they've been out there working hard in the brutal heat, and just want to give a big shout out to those guys and Public Works from the bottom up. They're all fantastic people, so just big shout out.
Thank you. Wade Montgomery, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just one quick item, Weldon Springs Road, it was opened up for one-way traffic through the kind of roundabout area to get residents and allow motorists to get out to Highway K. So we were looking at doing a temporary signal, but found an alternate solution at a fraction of the cost. So I thank the project manager for that, as well as the contractor. With that, I wanted to thank Pam. You kind of took my comment, but I wanted to thank staff. They spent a lot of time putting thick applications together for East-West Gateway funds, cost share funds with MoDOT. And as soon as we get done with those, it seems like we turn right around and start on county road board. So without that grant funding, we wouldn't be able to do very many large-scale projects at all. So they do a great job just to bring in more work for themselves. So, but it's certainly appreciated. We appreciate our partnership we have with MoDOT and the county in numerous projects every year. So thank you all for coming.
Okay, Mr. Bender, your comments.
I don't have a whole lot, but I do want to just point out what amazing things are happening around the city, because, I mean, you listen to this presentation from MoDOT and what they're doing, record amounts of work here. The city itself is doing record amounts of projects as well, between the Public Works facility, the new police shooting range facility, all the road projects, all the work at the water and sewer plants. I mean, I haven't added it up, but it's easily between $70 and $80 million worth of construction that is currently being done right now in the city, and that's probably double what we've done in the past. And so and then on top of that, all the development that's going on. So we have some really quality developments coming into the city that's pretty impressive that you'll see coming up in the next few years. So it's quite an amazing time here at the city. So I just wanted to point that out. So
Thank you, Steve. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.